This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports. With your distinguished host, Adam.
What was your reaction when you got notified that you were going to be a Hall of Famer? How does that sound to you? Coach O'Leary, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm in a number of inducted into a number of Hall of Fame.
And Mike.
I don't know if you know this, but I won the 5K race that we did a couple weeks ago.
Now, here are the guys.
All right, that's right. We are the Sons of UCF, and this is episode number 153. Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike 1, back again for yet another week. Michael, welcome back. Victory Monday as we record this. It feels much better than a loss, my friend.
Definitely, much better than a loss. I enjoy doing the shows, coming off a win. Like Coach Malzahn says, winning's fun, losing stinks. Right? But this week was a fun one, so I'm excited for this one.
As am I. This is a good recap. We've got a breakdown of UCF versus Memphis, a nice win on Friday night. We'll look back at what went well, what didn't go so well in our categories. We'll also talk a little bit about what's upcoming with Temple. We'll do UCF observations. We'll do picks. We'll do cows. And off the top, Mike, some interesting breaking-ish news, if you will, on the recruiting trail and a couple of injury updates and all that. So we'll get to all that right off the top here. But before we do that, it's my opportunity to drone on about all the different things that we're doing and how you can find us. First things first, social media stuff at Sons of UCF. That's Facebook, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's even our YouTube channel. Our website is twonightsmedia.com. And don't forget, Mike is on Twitter as well, at UCF Mike 1. You can catch up with us there. Make sure you follow us and subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thursday nights, make sure you check out the live show. That's featuring Trey Strelko, who's at SignPaz on Twitter. That's Thursdays on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, also on Two Nights Media. So don't forget to do all of that stuff, Mike. And if you do all that, what we'll do is we'll entertain you for as long as you want to listen to us, Mike. And let's get rolling here with this edition of the show. Since you and I last spoke, Mike, we have boomed 3 times. What do you think about that?
I like the booms.
You do? Okay. Who doesn't like a good boom? Yeah.
Booms are good.
Yeah, booms are real good. So a boom over the weekend, and that boom came courtesy of one Jordan McDonald, a 3-star running back out of Georgia, a guy who Gus Malzahn and staff were really high on. Mike, kind of a bigger guy, 6'1", 220, a bigger framed back. He's the number 72 player in all of Georgia. He had offers from a few different schools, but settled on UCF as opposed to South Carolina in his final 2, Mike. So Gus gets his first, I guess, prototypical Gus Malzahn style running back in this Jordan McDonald.
I believe he was the number 1 running back target for UCF. And a bigger size guy, Bowser's not going to be here forever. So it seems like a guy that can carry the load like Bowser's been doing this year. And good to see guys out of Georgia and the other guys we're going to talk about here, Florida. Those are the states we need to be recruiting, and that's where Gus has been making his money so far.
Yeah, and this is a good one for me because every time you and I do this show, and I feel like when we're doing a preview of an opponent upcoming, we're always looking at who's the best players on their team. And every now and again, we find somebody, and we're like, this guy's from Florida? He's from Orlando. And we always scratch our heads at how the hell they ended up at Pitt or Rutgers or West Virginia. And we've always said on the show, if we can start winning some of those battles, that'll be, the testament of how we take recruiting to the next level. Now, admittedly, this kid is not a Florida kid, but he's pretty close to us. And he basically had to choose between the 2 schools that neighbor his state. And this is a matchup that we can out-recruit an SEC school. We can win some of these battles. We're not going to win all of them, and I don't think we should expect to. But if we can slowly start to creep in and win one of these battles, 2 of these battles, and get some of these key players, I think that's what's going to help make the difference for us, Mike. So while I certainly have no idea, it sounds like this kid's pretty good, but we've seen all this stuff happen on paper. Let's see what happens on the field. At least to go in and win a battle, which, previously we might not have won this one. And to have Gus get in there and close the deal, at least for now. Nothing is signed, of course, yet. But that's a good sign for me that we're going toe-to-toe and we're coming out with a victory.
I got to think us joining the Big 12 is helping out a lot, right? And you talk about going up against schools that are in the SEC. These are kids that have offers to play and what they feel like is big-time football. And now we are right there with them. So if they like the coaches and they like the campus, now that we have the P5 label to go along with it, there's really no stopping us now.
Well, and then speaking of no stopping us, Mike, Monday we went out and we snagged two more. That's what I said, two more recruits. Seminole High School twins, Jakari and Damari Henderson. Both are our secondary players. Jakari is a cornerback. Damari right now is a safety. Coming out of Seminole High School, Jakari is kind of a high-end 3-star, low-end 4-star. Damari is a solid sort of mid 3-star. Jakari, 58th in the state of Florida. Damari, 73rd in the state of Florida. So two top 100 Florida recruits. For context, we had one all of last year. We had 0 the year before that. So to get 2 in one shot is fantastic. Keep these kids at home, Mike. They were allegedly deciding at the very end between UCF and Miami. So to pull 2 Miami recruits away from the Hurricanes, keep them right here in our backyard, and get those commitments, Mike. Big deal. The twins coming to UCF.
Very big deal. I believe Florida was recruiting these guys too.
Yes.
So to win a recruiting battle against Florida and Miami for both of these guys is huge for us. Secondary, which we know we need a lot of help in, to go along with Nikai Martinez, who committed earlier. He's a 4-star guy. Gus is building the secondary. You love to see the local kids stay home. Seminole's right around the corner. This is great news. These guys were here during Bounce House weekend. Remember, that was the big recruiting weekend we put together over the summer, and now we're seeing it pay off. Remember, we came out of that weekend saying, oh, where's all the booms? Well, here they are. October. It took a little while, but now we got a couple booms to show it.
And they come along with Cam Moore, that's Brandon Moore's brother, who also commit the linebacker, again, out of Seminole. So Gus is doing that thing, Mike, building that fence around sort of the state of Orlando, quote-unquote, and winning some of the battles against some of the, I guess, second-tier schools that we often go against. This could be a good recipe, Mike. And so far, the fruits of the labor, UCF with the 37th ranked class in the country. That actually puts us just behind Cincinnati, who's number 34 right now in the American Conference. If you add in our new friends that will be there in the Big 12, Mike, that puts us 6th in that ranking. But it does put us ahead of Miami. Miami's all the way back at 59. So we talk about the big 3 in the state of Florida. Recruiting-wise, at least right now, UCF, Florida, and Miami. UCF, Florida, and Florida State are definitely besting Miami right now.
Yeah, I think this would be our best recruiting class ever, even if it just ended right here. I think the highest ever was 39th in 2011. So here we go, man. This is what we've been waiting for. Get the talent in here. And Seminole is a very good football team. I looked them up. Their defense must be solid because they have a couple of shutouts this year. I think they're giving up 6 points in a game, 3 points. So we've gotten 3 guys now from that defense to come commit to us. Good signs. And I love the way recruiting is going so far. Now we just need to finish it off. Obviously, we know all the help we need on defense. And these guys are welcome additions. Let's see if we can finish it off. There's a couple other big fish out there that we're hoping to land, too, before this thing's over.
Well, that's how this thing gets rolling, Mike, because you get a couple of kids to commit, and they start kind of recruiting some other guys, and all of a sudden you look around, you see, hey, man, some really good players are going to UCF. Maybe you're in Orlando. Maybe you just know these guys from a camp or something like that. This is kind of how this thing turns. It just takes 1 or 2 guys to start, deciding on UCF, and all of a sudden other players are out there and looking around and doing the same thing. So maybe these 2 are the spark. I don't know. Maybe some of the other guys were the spark. Who knows? But I think that's what you need. Is you need a couple of guys to commit early and say, yeah, I'm going there, and then you get some of the other kids who are undecided to go, oh, well, wait, that's not so bad, right? You add in Thomas Castellanos, who now is getting love from Georgia, and a bunch of other guys that we've got coming in. This is how it starts, and let's see where it ends up, Mike. What I don't know is how many Gus is going to take in this class. This is 15 at least on the books right now. If you look at the rivals page, they list both Bless Harris and Joey Gatewood as transfers in this calendar year. So I don't know if that goes against those numbers. I guess I'm unclear on how many Gus can take, how many more spots we have left. But to your point, we certainly have some time if we choose to continue to add some more talent to this class. And guys, you can always get rid of guys that are on the team. Sometimes it's just made known to guys that aren't going to be big-time contributors that they'd be better off transferring. We're going to have guys leave here, too, I'm sure. We've already seen that during the season, guys transferring out. So we'll make room. If there's a top player that wants to come here, don't worry about it. We'll find room for him here. And like we mentioned earlier, the Florida kids, the Georgia kids, all our recruits so far right now, every one of them is from Florida and Georgia, and we have one guy from Texas. No more Germans being recruited here anymore.
We're keeping it local, exactly what we've been always asking for. The state of Orlando. It's a no-fly zone now here in the city of Orlando.
Wow, we went no-fly zone on him. Interestingly enough, of the guys who've committed so far, you definitely see us filling some holes. We have two on the line, 2 linebackers, 2 D linemen, a tight end, and obviously now 3 guys. 2 D linemen and 3 guys in the secondary. So you definitely see where Gus is trying to plug those holes, and we'll see what this ends up, Mike. But it was a nice weekend of booms. To your point, there are some big fish that are still out there. Obviously, a long ways to go before ink gets on paper. I always hate celebrating these things and talking about these things, because really all this is right now is just, hey, I think I'm going to come there. But until ink gets on paper, you never know what can happen. Things change at the last minute all the time. Sometimes they can change in our favor. Maybe they go against us. So still a long way to go. Let's see if Gus can hold on to these guys. But so far, Mike, with the number 37 ranked class and the room to improve. Yeah, I mean, Gus he said he was going to recruit like his hair is on fire. I think someone needs to get that guy a fire extinguisher.
He's doing so good so far. And T. Will's doing his job too, getting these defensive guys in here. Remember when he did that rap during that bounce house weekend, he directed it right to Jakari and Damari Henderson. And it seems to have paid off. I guess they've built their relationship since then. And let's see what else he can do. There's a guy, Curtis Perry. I think we're in his final 3 between us and Alabama and I forget who the other one is. But if we can land somebody like that, then this thing really snowballs.
Well, here's the other thing, Mike, and we talked about this a lot with Heupel. Of the 15 that are here, only 3 of them are outside the state of Florida. So he's definitely keeping that talent at home. And then we talk about, the top 100 in the state of Florida. Martinez is number 38 overall. Keenis Thompson, number 55. Jakari is number 58. Quan Lee is 68. Damari is 73. And then Leighton Nelson, offensive tackle, he's 77. So those are guys right there that are in the Florida top 100 that we've kept home, or we've got to UCF. And again, in previous years, we were getting 1 to 2. I think 2 was the max that we had over the last couple of seasons. So for Gus to potentially already have pulled 7, and the majority of this class coming from the state of Florida, when that was, to your point, Gus certainly has lessened the frequent flyer miles from here to Germany, but he certainly has hauled in some good local talent. That's really, we're a talent-rich state, right? This is where you want to go to find talent, and Gus is staying right here. He's not staying here. The other kids are from Georgia and Texas, so not a bad place to go if you want other talent.
That's right. Florida is the best state in the country for football. Texas is very good. Georgia is very good. And I guess Ohio is another top one, but he's getting all the guys from here. That's all we can ask for.
Well, hopefully that continues, and there'll be more good news on the recruiting trail. Gus mentioned that with a kind of an odd schedule, playing Memphis on Friday. He mentioned on his Monday press availability they did some recruiting over the weekend. Not sure if this is what he was referring to, but at least it got the staff some time to get out, and hopefully we have some more visitors coming up here. Again, still a plethora of home games available. So maybe there's an option to have some kids come back out. We have 3 more to go with Tulane, UConn, and then Green UConn. So maybe we'll get some more kids to come visit Mike. But this upcoming weekend, we have obviously a game at Temple. And news today from Gus's availability, Jalen Robinson has the potential, is the way Gus framed it up, to play. He's going to practice this week, and we'll see how he kind of feels. Gus also dropped, he practiced last week, apparently, practiced on Tuesday, and still wasn't good enough to go. So there's, I guess, an outside possibility that Jalen Robinson might suit back up this weekend. Mike, thoughts on Jay Flash coming back to the lineup right now?
Well, that would be huge for us. We've missed him for sure. The passing game has not been anything to write home about the last few weeks. We would need him to come out here again. If he's 100% and he can use his speed to go with O'Keefe, we've seen what O'Keefe's been able to do the last few weeks, running the ball and the jet sweeps and all that. Now, if you have Robinson on the other side taking the top off the defense, that should open things up immensely for the whole offense.
Yeah, well, hopefully Mikey can get it there. We haven't really seen Gus let Mikey take some shots. So obviously we know Jalen's a speedster on the outside. He can catch a beautiful deep ball. So we'll see if he is in the lineup, what kind of routes he runs, if Mikey and him are able to build a connection. Because the reality is him and Mikey haven't played together. So since Mikey's been in the lineup, Jalen is not. So do they have a chemistry? Can they build that chemistry? Let's figure that out. Good problem to have, though, if he can get back on the field. Maybe it squashes some of those rumors. There are obviously a lot of rumors floating around about his future. Was he committed to UCF still? Was he thinking about leaving? This doesn't guarantee that he doesn't do any of those things, but at least it's good to maybe get him back on the field, Mike. And then Gus dropped this. You and I think, talked about it last week during our show. Gus dropped again today at his presser that Dillon Gabriel is progressing nicely. He said, quote, obviously he won't play this week, which maybe leaves the door open for, the Tulane game on the 6th. I know that's kind of the game you and I had been talking about. Let's get him in a little bit, get some rust off him, let him play at home, kind of get back in the swing of things, get his feet under him, and then we have him for SMU, Mike. So Gus is at least he's giving positive signs that Dillon Gabriel is potentially on the return back. How big of a deal would that be?
Well, that changes the entire season. If he comes back, this offense can really get rolling again. I'm not going to get too excited yet till I start seeing him throw the ball. I've seen pictures of him out there in practice, taking snaps and maybe doing some footwork drills and things like that, but haven't seen him throw one yet. And I feel like if he was throwing the ball, we probably would have seen a video or two of that by now. Yeah. So hopefully in this next week or two, he starts letting it loose and he's able to do that. I would love to see him back for the Tulane game. That would be great. Right now, Temple, obviously he's not playing this week, but Tulane would be nice. And I mean, if he can't get his feet wet against Tulane, but he's ready to come back against SMU, then you got to put him in there.
Oh yeah.
As soon as he's ready to go, you got to put him back in. Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, again, that would be huge. If as long as he's healthy, obviously, to your point, he's just taking snaps. He's not throwing the ball. He's also not getting hit. So that's another situation to consider. Will they put some sort of a padding or some sort of a brace or something on him? I don't know. Obviously, that's his throwing shoulder, his throwing arm. So, will that get in the way? Does he need time to get used to that? Who knows? But all signs are pointing toward that being a positive, Mike. And if you think back to where we were 3 or 4 weeks ago on the injury front, Isaiah Bowser's now been back for 2 games. Ricky Barber's now been back for 2 games. Corey Thornton and Tatum Bethune have both been back from their injuries. Obviously, Jay Flash potentially on the mend here. Dillon's, maybe the last one to come in behind that. But we're starting to get these guys back, Mike. We're starting to maybe make some inroads. So good to see at least things trending in the right direction. An interesting story that sort of circulated over the weekend, and Gus confirmed today, Mike. I'm curious your thoughts on this. Gus reporting and confirming a Jason Beatty exclusive, a Jason Beatty Eagle Eye exclusive. Quadri Jones has made the switch to wide receiver. It was kind of framed up in the press conference that he's helping out their injuries and so on and so forth. I don't know if that's true. I don't know the whole way that comes about, Mike, but Quadri Jones, the receiver, your thoughts?
Maybe we should have started thinking about this when it was known that Mikey Keenan was going to be the starting quarterback after Dillon Gabriel got hurt. Maybe something was up then. He said that we need help at receiver because of the injuries. Gatewood was a guy that probably could be a tight end / receiver, you would think. But Quadri making the move over, if he's doing whatever he can to help the team, then that's good for him, good for us. We haven't seen him out there at receiver yet in the game, so we'll see if that happens in the next couple of weeks. But now that guys are coming back like Jalen Robinson, maybe we won't see him unless it's mop-up duty sometime, maybe hopefully in this game at the end of the Temple game if we're up big. You can get out there and have a few snaps, maybe catch a pass or two. I'm sure there's going to be opportunities down the road. You think the UConn game should be a game where a lot of guys get to play. So good for him. If he can find a way to get on the field and contribute to this season, then I'm happy for him.
Well, Gus said that he's been practicing with receivers the last 3 weeks. So to your point, that kind of aligns with the timing of Mikey being named sort of the starter after Dillon went out. Does Quad go and say, hey, I want to play. How do I help the team out? What do I need to do here? Who knows what those conversations look like. Yeah, there have been some injuries at receiver. Deontay Marks got hurt. I think it was against Bethune. He hasn't been back since. I saw Caden Robinson did not dress for the game against Memphis, so not sure what his injury is. And so a receiving core, and obviously Jay Flash being out as well, a receiving core that we thought would be pretty deep all of a sudden, maybe not as deep. So maybe Quadri gets some run. And here's the deal, Mike. That opens up the Gus Malzahn trickeration playbook, because now you're going to imagine if you got a lineup where you have Quadri on the outside, you have Gatewood taking the snap, you have Mikey Keenan there from the I guess the wildcat situation. You got 3 quarterbacks on the field at the same time. I'm sure Gus's mind's going to go crazy with that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, but you can only throw 1 forward pass per play. So.
I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, he's going to have some kind of tricks up his sleeve. Definitely. We saw Ryan O'Keefe throw a pass in the spring game. So I'm sure he's got a couple plays ready to go. I don't know if he's going to bring Quadri in just for that. Bring him in as a receiver, let him go out there and run a couple routes and see what he can do.
Well, we've seen this happen before. Obviously, I think the natural progression would be Jeff Godfrey, who came in, was a starting quarterback, obviously lost his starting job, was out off the team for a little bit, came back, and at that point, Blake Bortles was kind of cemented as the quarterback, and he said, how can I help? And George O'Leary said, go to receiver, and the rest is kind of history. So maybe there's a bit of a precedent for that. I think Calabrese tried this for a while, too. I think he did some sort of receiver stuff. Nick Patty, who we have on the show pretty much every week now, he played receiver for a while at UCF. Pete DeNovo did the same thing. So there's some precedent to this kind of stuff. So we'll see, I guess, if Quadri can find a spot there, Mike. But the good news is we didn't really need any new receivers on Friday, because at least we got the win. Now the offense wasn't necessarily a gangbuster, but 24/7 UCF comes out with the win against Memphis, betters our record to 4-3, 4 wins at home, 0-3 on the road. And Mike, it wasn't the prettiest game to watch aesthetically. I think defense played really, really well. Offense still looked like they were still kind of stuck in slow motion at times, but they made enough plays to obviously get the victory. What are your, I guess, overall impressions before we get to categories on the 24/7 win with Memphis?
I'll take it. We won by 3 scores. Looking at the big picture, I'll take that. We were coming into the game. It was basically a pick'em game. We were favored by 2, then we were underdogs by 1, and then Memphis, right before the game, announces they don't have their starting quarterbacks, and we're favored again by 1 or 2 points. So coming into the game, we thought it was going to be a tough battle, and we pretty much controlled this game from the beginning. We went right down the field early in the game. We went up early. We were up 14-0 on these guys. The defense played probably the best game of the season. We were getting pressure on the quarterback and causing turnovers. So overall, a very good win. I know it's not what we're used to offensively, putting up 40, 50 points like we have the last couple of years, but I mean, we are still playing with a backup quarterback and a lot of injuries on offense. So I'll take the win any way we can get them. Yeah. I don't care. We won by 17 points. That's good enough for me.
Well, the thing I'm encouraged about is, Mike, is things, to your point, we're clearly not firing on all cylinders. But we were still able to win ugly, right? That wasn't our best game. It wasn't our prettiest game. But similar to me, this game had a lot of parallels to the Boise State game, where things weren't really going our way, but we still managed a way to get it done with plays when we needed to. We were able to win ugly. And while certainly, to your point, I would have loved to have won this one 42-7, not 24-7. One of the things that we always lamented over, especially under the last 3 years with Josh Heupel and that staff, was we can never seem to win the ugly games or win the close games, or we always seem to have issues or problems when things weren't perfect. And things were definitely not perfect for us on Friday. But guess what? UCF figured out a way to pull out another victory. So I'm encouraged by the fact that it was a little bit ugly. It wasn't pretty at times, but when plays had to be made, guys stepped up and made plays. And obviously, 24/7 is the final result. So I'll take the ugly win, because there are years where we weren't playing really well and we would have loved an ugly win. And so I'll definitely take the learning how to find a way to win. I think that's a good skill.
Yeah, we were winning the entire game. We took a 7-point lead, then we were up 14. They never got it closer than 14-7, and then we started pulling away there in the second half. So no point did I really think we were going to lose the game. A couple times you think, maybe we could have done this better and that better, but the game was basically in hand for the majority of the second half.
Well, let's get into it, Mike. Obviously, each week you and I look at different parts of the game, and we decide things that we like, things we didn't like, and we assign those a category based on our previous bowl games and successes and failures, Mike. So I'll let you lead off first. What's one thing that caught your eye that you want to talk about?
All right. I'm going to give out a peach to the opening drive of the game.
There we go.
And Memphis wins the coin toss. They defer for the second half. I think we would have probably done the same had we won the coin toss like we've been doing during the season. Take the ball in the second half. But we got the ball to start this game, and we opened it up with 4 straight runs, and good ones too. 12-yard run for a first down right away. Mikey converts a 3rd and 5 on this drive to Brandon Johnson. He was perfect, 3 for 3 on the drive. He caps it off with a touchdown to Brandon Johnson, which was a beautiful pass right on the side of the end zone there, and a great job by Johnson getting his foot in bounds. The drive itself took up 4 minutes and 40 seconds, 9 plays, 68 yards. This was the best opening drive we've had all season. The Boise State game, remember, that was a nice drive all the way up till the end where Gabriel throws the interception, goes back for 100 yards for a touchdown. The Louisville and Navy games, we scored on the first possession, but they were quick strikes. Right? The Louisville, I think, was the second play. A deep shot to O'Keefe was a touchdown. Navy was 1 play, 10 yards. Those don't really count as nice long drives. The East Carolina game, Cincinnati game, we didn't do anything to open the game. If you want to count Bethune, that was a 4-play, 55-yard drive. Not really a long, punishing drive like this one was. This set the tone for the game. I like the way we came out, went right down Memphis's throats, and let them know that they were in for it that night.
Yeah, I think this was the drive I was hoping that they would put together against Cincinnati. Now, I understand Cincinnati and Memphis are way different teams on defense, right? But this was what you saw out of Gus in that Boise game. It was a methodical drive. He seemed to have the play scripted really well. Either he had scouted or knew exactly what he could kind of get offensively, and he leveraged that to march all the way down the field for a score. That's the kind of offense that you come to expect from a Gus Malzahn, with some variety, with some dinks, some dunks, some chunk plays, some runs, and that's what you saw it all on display there in that first drive. And that's what I guess sometimes you wonder why we can't put together more drives like that. I get defenses are out there trying to play against us, so that's probably why. But you're right, that was an impressive drive, and I think that was good for Mikey and probably good for the entire team just to get the stench of the Cincinnati game off of them, right? Just to get away from everything that went wrong and all the things they did not do, to get a nice drive to start off with. I'm sure it definitely helped them to, get over, whatever hangover may still be there from that Cincinnati game.
That's right. I mean, the Cincinnati game, we didn't score until we were already down 35-0. And even the East Carolina game, we only had 3 points at the half. If we had come out in the first half of this game and struggle again to start the game, that could have lingered on for a little while in this game. We didn't let that happen. Came out right away to start the game. Nice, solid drive, right down the field. 7 points on the board right away. That was key for this game.
It sure was, Mike. That was that was an impressive drive, and probably the last impressive drive maybe we had the entire night. But I'm sure we'll touch on that. I'm gonna go also with a peach, Mike. I'm gonna do this award for an individual person. Cornerback Devontae Brown. And this was a guy that in all like our pregame our preseason stuff, I was talking him up. I thought he would be a big player. I think I had a headline one week that I put with his name in it because I just thought he was primed for a breakout season. He's been playing a bunch, but hasn't really flashed on screen. Hasn't done anything, I guess, either positive or negative, really. He's just kind of been solid and steady. But like he broke out in a big way against Memphis. Finishes with 7 tackles, half a sack, which I really think was his sack, but they gave half to TMB at the same time, so what are you going to do? Also with an INT, had 2 pass breakups. This was a guy that we heard some really good things about coming out of camp. He definitely plays the part well. He's got the right size. And I went back and I looked at some of his stat numbers. He's been playing pretty consistently. So while we've had injuries with Thornton and Hodges has been in and Domio has been in and even Brandon Adams has been in, maybe we figured out something with some of these corners, Mike, because they played really well. But Devontae Brown hasn't necessarily been that guy that has been on the stat sheet every week. He hasn't been a name on the top of your mind, but a solid game, 7 tackles, a sack, an INT, and 2 PBUs. So he gets a peach for me, Mike. I thought he played really well on Friday night.
Very good game. I believe he earned American Conference honor roll honors for his performance on Friday night. He should have had a second interception, one of those crazy ones that bounced off him, and Devon Wilson ended up intercepting it. Should have been one that was right through his hands. He could have had 2, but he got a sack. He was all over the place and performed very well. And hopefully he can build on this for the rest of the year.
And I don't want to steal your thunder. I don't know what your categories are, but one of the things that Brandon Helwig is able to provide folks who subscribe to the Dungeon, and I encourage all of you guys to do that, is you get the grades from Pro Football Focus, Mike. On the defensive side, the 6 top grades were all from the secondary. And that's a unit that we had all said, geez, what are we going to get out of that? Like, we don't know what's going to happen here. And then obviously the run defense broke apart. And then we were all scared because we're like, oh, man, we can't stop the run. And we have a young secondary. The top 6 players all came out of the secondary with some big games. Obviously, you mentioned Devon Wilson. Justin Hodges played really well also. So The secondary is maybe coming into form with some young guys who are finally getting their nose bloody and making some plays. But I hope this is the first of many times I have to call Devontae Brown's name, because again, I think he's got a good future for UCF.
Yes, but we have to keep in mind we're playing against a guy that had never started a college football game before. So I'm sure that had something to do with it. But I'm not going to take anything away from these guys. They did what they had to do to win this game. The defense overall was great. And you're right, it starts with the secondary.
All right, that's my peach, Mike. That's my first category. Why don't you go? What do you got?
I've got Bowser being back in the running game. This is another peach to go with O'Keefe and Johnny Richardson. It was great to see Bowser back and getting steady carries, 26 carries, 117 yards. He really grinded Memphis down in this game. He didn't get in the end zone, but he wore them down. And picking up blitzes, giving Mikey time to throw, I think he did a really good job with that. And you can just tell the confidence that Gus has in Bowser to get the tough yards, short yardage plays. We got 11 of our 17 first downs came on runs. That was a lot due to Bowser. Total on the ground, we had 215 yards. O'Keefe has shown that he can do it all. He had a 31-yard touchdown run on what was really a beautiful play. You look at it again, they faked the counter one way and then they reverse it back to O'Keefe. There was no way the defense could change direction like that and catch him. That was beautiful. The Gatewood touchdown throw. I'll say that with
air quotes are up there.
Yeah, air quotes, because that is not a throw. I'm sorry. That's basically a run too. I'm counting that as a run. That's a 13-yard shovel pass. That goes into the run game in my eyes. Johnny Richardson, even with the solid game, 6 carries only, but 47 yards. That's an average of 7.8 per run, so he made it count while he was in there too. We needed the run game badly in this game, and we got it. And led by Bowser, even though he didn't get in the end zone, him and O'Keefe is turning out to be a nice little 1-2 punch.
Yeah, having Bowser back is to me, the offense just feels a lot different. I know Trace asked Coach Malzahn about that in the presser on Monday, and he basically said, yeah, I mean, the guy's do everything kind of back. He can run downhill. But to me, the offense just clicks better. I don't think Bowser was healthy against Cincinnati. I think he tried as best he could, but I don't think he was ready. And you can see the difference in having him back. Yeah, to your point, he did not get pay dirt, but he punishes the defense just enough. He kind of catches you just enough, and all of a sudden, then you throw the speed guys at him. If it's O'Keefe or if it's Johnny, and it's just enough to maybe make the defense flinch just a little bit. So to me, Bowser is the key right now to this offense. I think he was a big part of it when Dylan was here. But he's a big key, particularly with a young quarterback. Good to have him out there. He looked kind of back to his old self, Mike. He was jump cuts. He was kind of hitting the hole and putting his head down and making contact. He at least appeared on the TV screen that you and I were watching to be back to his old self. Yeah,
he looked like the Bowser of week 1, week 2. And if he can stay healthy and be that guy for the rest of the year, then I like the way this offense is going to go for the rest of the next few games.
I'm curious to see who become the, I guess, the complimentary backs. Is it still Johnny Richardson's show? Yeah, we haven't seen Trillian Coles now in 2 weeks. Mark Anthony Richards, we haven't seen a bunch. I think he got a couple plays in there. So I'm curious who become the complimentary back. Is O'Keefe now basically a de facto running back? I mean, how are we going to complement Bowser's bruising style? We've seen all these guys get a chance to play now. As Gus has to kind of whittle this back down, who's the complement to him?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Richardson for now. Richardson's a speedy guy too, smaller guy to mix in with Bowser's size. And O'Keefe has been basically used as a third running back too. So between those 3 guys, that's a lot of carries, and especially with Bowser getting over 20 carries per game. It's going to give Johnny probably not going to get more than 10 carries the way it's shaken out, but he's making the most of it, and he's gotten a lot of experience here the last few weeks, even when Bowser was out. So I trust those guys the most, and I think Gus does too.
And that might be the right number for Johnny. I mean, for his size and kind of his skill set, maybe he's not meant to be a 25, carry running back. Maybe a 7 to 10 carry running back is exactly the role he can play, right? Because he can make quick, explosive plays. He can catch guys off guard a little bit, particularly if Bowser's been in there. It gives you that change of pace. Maybe that's exactly the role that he should be playing. And so we'll see how that shakes down. But obviously having the big guy back, number 5 back there, certainly does help out a ton for us. So let me go to my second category, Mike. I'm going to stay on the defensive side. I'm going to actually go back with a peach, Mike. I'm going to give this to the third, fourth, and then red zone defenses. So third down, fourth down, and red zone defense, Mike. An area that we were not necessarily really killing people with in previous weeks. Third down, Memphis 4 of 14. Fourth down, not great. 2 of 5. In the red zone, they were 1 of 4. So UCF found ways to clamp down on defense when it really mattered the most. And you saw a couple of big plays. Devontae Brown, I mentioned earlier, he had a huge sack in a third down that essentially forced Memphis out of field goal range, and they had to do that stupid fake field goal punt situation thing. The secondary was definitely back there breaking up passes whenever Parrish tried to throw the football. You saw some big tackles from Ricky Barber and Tremont Morris-Brash. Everyone kind of got in the act on third and fourth down, and then even stopped them in the red zone. So, sometimes, Mike, you know what you need in life? You need a slump buster. You need a slump buster. And maybe this was our slump buster. A slump buster to get you back in a little bit of a groove, get you back with a little bit of confidence. Yes, I know Memphis' offense was probably kind of cobbling it together with a quarterback who had never played before. And so perhaps we're not dealing with, the most explosive offense in the country. But they still have dudes out there. They still have athletes. They still have a high-powered offense, and we shut that down. And so maybe even though they weren't at their full strength, we needed a slump buster. And maybe this was just the thing the defense needed to kind of get some of that old feeling, some of those old habits off their back.
Well, the reason I said luck is because the ball bounced our way a couple of these times. Those interceptions were both in the end zone, and they were deflections that went straight to our other defender for an interception. Dylan Lester came away with one, and Devon Wilson came away with the other. Those are big time. I mean, sometimes there's just lucky plays. Those balls could have easily just popped straight in the air. They could have gone out of bounds. They could have just deflected it into the ground, and then Memphis has another shot to throw into the end zone. So sometimes a little luck is needed, but you're right. The defense played very well. They took advantage of a team that was missing their quarterback, and they did what they needed to do. They got pressure on him all night, sacked him 6 times, got the ball turned over. Best defensive performance we've seen, I think, and it's not even close.
Slump buster.
Yep.
That's what you need. All right, what you got?
My last one. I'm going to go with a Hawaii on this one. Something not good, but I guess it was good enough to win this game anyway. The passing game, Mikey Keene with only 63 yards passing in this game. Is this the lowest ever? Especially in a game that we won by our starting quarterback. I can't remember ever a quarterback throwing for only 63 yards. Maybe we'd have to go back to Bo Schneider and those guys back in 2015. I'd have to look it up. But I don't know. And certainly we know we didn't win any of those games. So
we did not.
I don't know. But a lot of it was not his fault. We had some drops too, and that plays into this Hawaii passing game award here. We've had a few big drops, and Charlie Browder, he came in for one play. It would have been a touchdown. It would have been a really nice catch. I think the defender made a nice play on him.
Yeah.
But he had his foot down, and he just squeezed it a little more. That changes things a little bit. Amari Johnson and Titus only with one catch each. Brandon Johnson had 3 catches, and 2 of those were on the opening drive. Other than that, we didn't hear much of his name. O'Keefe had a pretty okay game. He had 6 catches for 41, but one of those, remember, is the shovel pass he's getting credit for, 13 yards. That's a run in my book. So really only caught 5 balls for 27 yards. Didn't really do anything over the top. This is another reason why we need Flash back, I think. We need Jalen Robinson back as soon as possible. Hopefully he gets back this week. And let's face it, we need Dylan Gabriel back too. That's really going to open up this passing game. Mikey's done an okay job. We've won 2 of the games that he's started. We're 2-2 in the Mikey Keene time, but we got to get the other guys healthy and back and get this offense rolling back to where it should be, putting up 40 points a game. All
right, here's my quick research. In 2015 against Temple, Justin Holman threw for 67 yards, not quite 63. So I'm going back a little bit here. I haven't seen anything as low as that. So 67 at least in the last couple of years. Justin Holman in 2015.
No, you don't win a lot of games when you don't throw for at least 100 yards, unless you're completely dominating on the ground. Something like Navy would do.
Actually, hold on. I may have done it. Hold on a second. Oops, let me go back. I think. Well, this is going to be a combo. This isn't one guy though. I don't know. Are you counting just one guy, or do you want a combo?
Give me the combination. Have we passed for less than 100 yards as a team?
Oh yes, for sure. There's a few of these. No, not one. No, I got Michigan in 2016. We had 56 yards passing.
Yeesh.
56 yards passing. Nick Patty had 37, and Justin Holman had 19.
Wow.
In hindsight, in contrast, Wilton Spade had 312 on the other side. So 56 against Michigan was at least what I see right now, which isn't good either.
In a win, I don't know if we've ever won a game throwing for less than 100 yards.
Yeah. No, probably not. It's probably not going to be easy to do, Mike. But I think, listen, this is the reality. This is what Gus is going to do with Mikey Keene. This is the Mikey Keene offense under Gus Malzahn. He's going to be conservative. He's going to take care of the ball, short, quick routes. He's not going to let him take any chances. Everyone's going to point to the interception where Mikey threw basically the triple coverage in the end zone, essentially, and that's the reason why Gus doesn't call those plays until Dylan Gabriel or somebody else, I guess, I don't know, is able to step on the field. This is the Mikey Keene offense. This is what it's going to be. You know, we keep asking, is he going to open the playbook up? We've now seen, to your point, we've seen 4 games of this. This is clearly what Gus wants to do with it. So this is how it's going to work. Whether or not we can keep winning games like this, I guess that's what remains to be seen. It helps when you have some of your other weapons back, like a Bowser, like a Jay Flash. It helps when other guys can step up on the defense and make plays and not have to make Mikey win the game. But this is the Mikey Keene UCF offense for right now. For whatever reason, this is where we are with it. So if it can improve, if it'll get better in future years, all that stuff, I don't know. But this is clearly where we are right now with the offense.
Yeah, and we've seen the other freshman quarterbacks. I know it's hard to compare them to these guys, but Mackenzie Milton was allowed to throw the ball around when he came in, and Dylan Gabriel was throwing balls deep on every play, it seemed like, as a freshman. It's a little weird. And I guess it's just because those are the guys that we saw come in and do it. It was the last couple guys. This is more typical of what a true freshman looks like in college football. We've kind of been spoiled the last few times around. Let's see if he can get better. He hasn't been great. He hasn't wowed us with any spectacular plays, but he's made some pretty good throws too. Let's not take everything away from him. The touchdown to Brandon Johnson was a very nice throw. The one, if Browder comes down with it, that would have been a beautiful throw too. So he needs to get some help too. The drop passes are not doing him any favors.
2014 against Houston, we threw for 101 yards and won the game.
Well, there you go. So not under 100. That's
one extra
Brandon
yard.
Alexander strip ball at the goal line game.
Yeah. 2010, we only threw for 92 against Kansas State. Came up just short in that one, as you definitely remember, or maybe not. I don't know actually.
Yeah, definitely. We've told the story of that one many times on here.
2009, 76 yards and a loss to Texas, so not a win. 2008, did we know how to throw the football? Oh my God. 2008, South Carolina State, 90 yards and a win. Holy crap! We had what did we do in 2008? This game log is correct. I haven't clicked in it yet. South Carolina State, we threw for 90 and a win. We threw for 74 and a loss to Miami, and then is this even true? 29 in a win against Marshall. Won that game 30-14. Rob Calabrese was 4 of 17 for 29 yards, but Bryn Harvey ran for 150. Latavius ran for 46. And somehow we beat Marshall 30-14.
That was the 2009 game, you said?
Yeah, this is 2008. Sorry, 2008.
Oh, 2008. Yeah, no, I was going to say 2009 was when it was raining and we had that comeback with Bruce Miller forced fumble. 2008 had to be on the road. I don't really remember that one as much.
Yeah, it was on the road, yeah.
You know what that was? Probably. Tell me Quincy McDuffie returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns.
I'm not telling you that at all because that didn't happen. Jamar Newsom with a fumble return. Nick Katoy had 3 field goals. Somebody named John Lubisher had a touchdown pass. And then Bryn Harvey broke a 50-yard run towards the end of the game to seal the deal 30-14.
All right.
So there you go. My research here is done. I have found the time that we passed for under 100 yards. We went 29. It's pathetic, by the way. And we won the football game, Mike. All right, my last category. I'm going to give this one a Boca. It's not going to matter much in the grand scheme of things because we come out with a win, Mike. But penalties. And here's why I actually think this is way worse than maybe it might look like on paper. 11 penalties for 104 yards. You look at that and you go, "Ugh, that's terrible," right? Well, if you look in the details, 8 of those and 80 of those yards were in the fourth quarter alone. So in the time where we're trying to seal the deal, we are trying to keep Memphis, away. We're not trying to give the game away. That's the time when we had the most penalties, Mike. And these penalties are not just like, hey, we got a little aggressive on this one. Here are the penalties in the fourth quarter: unsportsmanlike conduct on Tatum Bethune, intentional unnecessary roughness on Domio, a hold on Domio, a hold on Brandon Adams, illegal block by Tremont Morris-Brash, a false start by Brandon Johnson, a personal foul by Tremont Morris-Brash, and a false start by Sam Jackson. So you had an unsportsmanlike, a roughness, an illegal block, and a personal foul, Mike. Those are just dumb, just mental error penalties, right? Those are just, unnecessary penalties to take. And we had 4 of those. Those are all 10 to 15 yard variety right there. In the time where we want to, try to seal the deal the most, we had some dumb plays, and of those penalties, 2 of them, 2 drives rather, had 2 penalties each drive. So there were multiple fouls on each of those drives. And imagine if Memphis had any bit more of a, efficient offense, how bad that could have been. Again, I understand that things are going to happen, Mike, and penalties don't matter when you win the game, but 8 in the final quarter, particularly of that variety of the dead ball, personal foul style, and the unnecessary penalties. Luckily, Memphis wasn't close enough to make that hurt us, but that's definitely something you do not want to see as games are winding down. We got to close those games out and do it without these penalties.
Yeah, those are killers. Put them in position to score, and those, I believe, were the drives where we ended up getting the interceptions in the end zone. But they shouldn't have never even been that close. We should have got them off the field earlier and let our offense come out. Most of those penalties you just named were defensive penalties.
Yeah.
You got the false start, a couple of offensive ones, but mostly defense, being over aggressive. You don't want to tell the guys not to be aggressive, especially the way they played all night. They played great overall, but those penalties could come back to hurt you in a close game.
And to be fair, I think 2 of those were on interception returns. So we had intercepted the ball and we're returning it back, and 2 of the penalties were there. So in theory, doesn't necessarily hurt the offense as much, right, because we get the ball back. But still, imagine if that penalty wipes out the turnover, or it forces all the way back from the 16-yard line all the way back to our own 1, right? So those penalties could have absolutely killed field possession, even though we ended up getting the ball on those. So while you may look at those and say, hey, we got the ball back, great, we still won the game. Again, just imagine if there was any other offensive strategy on Memphis that could have killed us, Mike. But then applaud the guys for the early part of the game, because essentially the first 3 quarters we had 3 penalties total. So a nice clean game until the fourth quarter things got off the rails.
And Gus says they're all correctable penalties. I gotta figure that they're gonna do something about this in practice. They'll have a good discussion about it. Coming into the game, we were doing okay in penalties, certainly a lot better than we did last year. So hopefully that's just a one-time thing here, and now going forward we won't have that problem anymore.
Let's hope not, Mike. But either way, 24-7, a nice Friday night win. Nothing better than a Friday game when you win, even though it's kind of a rough all-day Friday. You're at work, you're anticipating the game. Then you get all Saturday, all Sunday to be happy and cheer and relax, just watch other people play and other teams play and not worry about your team. Nothing like a good Friday night win.
Yeah, I love Friday night games, especially. I love them when we win. The Louisville game sucked because then you had to sit on it all weekend. That was the worst. But, yeah, coming off a win felt good. On Saturday, you could just relax. You don't have to get all stressed out. You don't have to worry about other plans. You can actually go out and do other things. So I love a Friday night win.
It was definitely good, Mike. And we tried something different during the game. I don't know if people were able to tune in or not. For those who did, Twitter has a new function called Spaces. And the way I describe it to you, it's basically like joining a conference call, where you're just on the phone with people for the entire time, and you're on mute. You can't talk. All you're doing is listening to the people talking, and then you can every now and again request access to talk. So in this configuration, Mike and I were hosting this conference call, and a bunch of people hopped in, and we were able to connect them and get them to chat with us live and talk about the game. We didn't do like a play-by-play or anything, more just kind of funny things, breaking down the game, key things we were looking at. Had a few people kind of swing in and offer their own perspective, Mike. It was a lot of work, by the way. It was like 4 hours of us talking, which the next day my voice was trash. But it was a lot of fun to do. I don't know how much we can pull this off every week, but it certainly was a good experiment and a fun thing. And I know I enjoyed it. Hope everybody else did too.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it. It was a lot of fun. I had nobody else to talk to here at my house. Nobody else watches the games with me. So glad to have you. to talk through the game. And a lot of our fans tuned in, and we got to speak to a whole bunch of guys, people that we know, but we've met a couple of people that we haven't spoke to before. Even Clea Davis jumped in and talked to us for about 10 minutes during the game. I didn't see that coming. That was pretty cool. Our friend Drew Bellani, me and Angus, for some reason, I don't know why. I don't know if it was his profile picture or whatever it was. For this whole time, I always thought me and Angus was a woman. Mm-mm. And then he got on. He had a pretty husky voice, so I'm pretty sure
he is husky. Yes, definitely husky.
But it was cool, man. It was a very good time. We got to talk about the game. We could joke around. We could say a lot of things on there that maybe we wouldn't say on here because that's not a recorded thing. Which I've had a couple of people ask if can we record it and we can go back and listen to it afterwards. I don't know. Twitter, I don't think it has that feature. Maybe you could record it as if we were doing like a podcast here. I don't think we want to do that though. I kind of like the freedom just to kind of let things flow a little bit. I was drinking a bunch of beers during the game. I don't want to get canceled for any stupid thing I say during the game. So if you're listening to it live, you get to hang out with us and it's cool. And if you missed it, then you missed it. And now you got to pay for it. And next time we do it, you got to jump in and see what you're missing.
I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal this, but I actually know me and Angus's real first name. Do you want me to tell you what? It's not a name you'll ever guess.
Oh, you know what? He won a hat or something, right? We sent him
a hat. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I should have known that it was not a woman.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name though.
His name is Fleet.
Oh, that's right.
Fleet. Yeah. So either way, it was a lot of fun to catch up with people. I tried to name as many of them as I remember having on the next morning. But you mentioned Drew, JP Gilbert hopped in, Robert from the stadium hopped in for a little bit. Mario Lonely B was driving someplace. He chimed in. Obviously, you mentioned me and Angus. Kalia Davis popped by for a little bit. So it was cool just to catch up with a bunch of people. A few people were actually on there for like a long time. And God bless you people because I don't know. I almost left for a while. But there were some people. Selena was on there for a long time. Sent us a nice message afterwards. So it was a lot of fun. We're going to try to see if we can squeeze maybe one more of those in the rest of the season. I think Mike's got a conflict next week. I may go to the Tulane game, so that might not work. Maybe UConn. No one goes to that game. I'll be at the Black Friday game, so we'll see if we can squeeze one more of those in this year to have some fun. But I appreciate everyone for listening in for that.
Yeah, this was a home game, so a lot of people were at the game. Even though we did hear from a couple of people at the stadium, it may be easier to do it for a road game. I don't know. This week's a possibility. I'm gonna have to be late to it, so I don't know if Trace wants to jump in early with you. Maybe I can come in for the second, third, and fourth quarters. I might have to miss the beginning, but
all right, yeah,
it's possible.
All right,
it's possible.
Well, we'll see what we can do, but I appreciate everyone for listening in and looking at all that, Mike. We're gonna come back with UCF observations after this, but let's do a quick little plug for Mike. I know probably your all-time favorite sponsor on the show, and that is the good folks at Paper and Lace Boutique. They do some custom, just gorgeous wedding invitations. They do a lot of other invitations, a lot of other, communication documents, if you will. So, Mike, why don't you share Paper and Lace with our good friends out there?
Yeah, nothing against any of our other sponsors we've had on the show before, but I am a little closer to this sponsor myself. This is my sister, Michelle. She runs her own company, Paper and Lace Boutique. If you go to our website, paperandlaceboutique.com, you can check out all the fabulous invitations she makes. And yes, it's mostly for weddings, but if you have other big-time parties, Sweet 16 parties, big anniversary parties, any kind of occasion, she can make the invitations for you. She can do all the other kinds of stuff, too. I'm talking about, like, the menus and the place cards and all that stuff that goes along with having a big shindig. She knows what she's doing. So give her a call, 954-597-6426. You can set up a meeting with her. She'll go over all the stuff you can do and cater it exactly to how you like. She takes appointments. You can order online, and she can ship anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, really. So check out her website, give her a call, and let her make your next big occasion the thing it should be, as special as it should be, and as fancy as it should be.
If that doesn't get you guys in there, maybe you have a quinceañera coming up, whatever it is, Mike. Paper and Lace Boutique has you covered. I think their website is paperandlaceboutique.com, and that's where you can go check them out. Again, if you tell them the Sons of UCF sent you, maybe Michelle will be nice and throw a little Go Knights cheer your way. But paperandlaceboutique.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need for that special day in your life. Another special day is coming up for us. That's UCF Observations. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair is on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
This was a little unique because obviously Mike and I watched this game together, and so typically we're at our different spots. We're scribbling a bunch of notes down, and we've got all these observations. But this week, because we basically said them out loud already once, the observations are a little bit more challenging this week. But either way, there are things that happen during the game, after the game, around the game that they're kind of funny. Maybe there's something unique, something that we forgot about. So UCF Observations brings you all those little nuggets that Mike and I were thinking about, but just didn't have time to tell anybody during the game, Mike. So let's get rolling here. Your observations, what's your first one?
Twitter begins the Spaces feature the same week as the Space game. Is that a coincidence, or are we behind this somehow?
Yes. I think it's actually been around a while. I think it was in like a beta situation for a period of time. Maybe it just got released to the masses, but it is definitely good, Mike. You know what my favorite part of our Twitter Spaces experiment was? At one point during the telecast, here's an exchange that took place. Adam to Mike. Adam says, "Mike, what are you wearing?" From the other room, not listening, my wife goes, "Did you just ask Mike what he's wearing?" My response to her was, "Of course I did." That was my favorite exchange of the entire Twitter live scenario with the Sons of UCF.
You had to tell her you were talking to me, like Jake from State Farm.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you wear?
I did say, Mike, what do you wear? I addressed your name. I said, Mike, what are you wearing? So she, but out of the other room, not listening to a thing I say the entire night. That's the only thing she heard throughout the entire broadcast.
Speaking of what people were wearing, the Space uniforms looked good. We won. The only fail, no Citronaut in the end zone. Why can't we just, instead of the Knights for one game, write Citronauts in the end zone, maybe a squeezer face at the 50-yard line? Maybe this is something next year they can add on to this whole thing.
Like Ryan O'Keefe can scoot.
Yes, he can.
He's fast. I like that we're trying to find ways to get him the ball in space. I mean, he's definitely become a big offensive weapon. He's taken a big leap. I'm curious to see what happens when Jay Flash comes back. How do you split the ball between those guys? That should be a good problem to have for Mikey and Gus. Yeah,
they're kind of using him like a Percy Harvin type guy when he was at Florida with Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Space game. You know what that means? It got me thinking about some space songs.
Boy.
So I got a top 5.
There we go. All right, we're ready.
Top 5.
Top 5 space songs. Okay. If number one isn't what I think it is, we riot. Go ahead.
I think what you think it is might be number 2. Number 5, David Bowie, Space Odyssey.
Okay.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah, good one.
Number 4, Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun.
Black Hole Sun. Isn't that guy dead? Rest in peace, right? Chris Cornell's dead?
What happened?
I think Chris Cornell is dead, the guy from Soundgarden, right?
I don't know. Probably. Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to crush your soul. It sounded like I just just crushed your soul there. My apologies.
Number 3, Beastie Boys, Intergalactic
Planetary. I didn't know you were doing this, by the way. I didn't know I had to sing all these. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Wow.
That was right there in our time when we were at UCF. That was a big hit.
Aren't you the one who's got the best observation maybe of all time, or that the Beastie Boys trick for all these years was just to scream the last word?
Yeah. Well, me too. Ha!
Yeah, pretty much their entire catalog is just them screaming the last word of whatever that sentence is.
Yeah. Number 2, Elton John.
Oh, wow.
Rocket Man.
My goodness. Yeah, I don't know how that's not number 1. Man, number 1 better be outside this world. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Oh, okay.
But Elton John, that Rocket Man, they remade it now. It's that was like Dua Lipa is doing it.
It's not
now.
really a remake, though. She just sings that one part. It's not the whole thing, but They definitely have. They have the hook about, and I guess it's gonna be. Like, they have that whole thing there, but it's not a whole.
That's
remix.
the whole song.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Basically, they just don't say Rocket Man.
No. Rocket Man. Okay. Good.
Number one.
Yeah.
The number one song about space.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Sinatra, "Fly Me to the Moon."
Wow,
Fly
Jesus.
me to the moon.
Wow. Whew.
Let me play.
This may be controversial. I don't.
a
I
Lone
mean,
Star. What are you talking about? Controversial.
I don't. Elton.
Oh, Blue Eyes?
Elton. I don't.
Chairman of the board?
I don't know. We might have to put this one on the poll. Put it on the poll, somebody. We have nobody to put things on the poll around here. I don't know. Well,
Fly Me to the Moon's a superior song.
Yeah, well,
I love Rocket Man, Roger Clemens when he was with the Yankees, blah, 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 all that. Yeah. But
All right.
Frankie.
Okay.
Nobody beats Frankie.
Well, speaking of chairman of the boards, can I get an update on the seltzer situation in the Cabana? Because I'm thinking about going to the Tulane game, and I really want to understand if we've made any upgrades there. Because if not, I need to plan accordingly. So if someone can get back to me at Sons of UCF on the seltzer situation in the Cabana, JP Gilbert, I know you were just there. Maybe I don't know if he updated us on that, but I need an update ASAP.
We'll sneak some of those things in.
I might have to.
I mean, in Tennessee, they're bringing in all kinds of mustard bottles.
I might just have my I'll have my kids carry them, and they're not gonna stop any kids, right?
There you go. Where are we at here? we saw Malzahn get angry on the sidelines this week. You know what that's called?
Fire.
A Gus fuss. He was making a fuss on the sidelines. That's his new thing. A Gus fuss.
This is a serious question, Mike. Why isn't the day after Halloween a national holiday? What are we doing, like, on Monday, having people go to work and school and all this other stuff? I mean, why can't we all just agree that next day no one does anything?
So you want the day after the Super Bowl to be a holiday, and you want the day after Halloween to be a holiday?
I do. We don't have enough holidays.
Halloween's on a Friday or a Saturday.
That's fine. I'm willing to absolve that. But Sunday through Thursday, the next day needs to be a holiday.
It is. It's All Saints Day, right?
I mean, amen.
Coming off a big loss in Cincinnati, you know what kind of win this was this week?
Slump buster.
Oh, close. It was a bounce back.
Bounce back. I was going to say get right. Okay. One. Yeah. Yeah, you had me in that one. Mike, you described our Twitter Spaces experiment much like the Manning brothers telecast, which is actually on right now. Tom Brady's actually on with them, which sounds pretty interesting. So you described us as sort of the Manning brothers, but with booze. Which one of us was Eli, and which one of us is Peyton? I assume you want to be Eli?
Yeah, I'll be Eli, I think. He was the one throwing up the middle fingers during the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you can be Peyton.
Okay.
Peyton's the better football player, and you're better the podcaster than me, so I'll give it to you.
I'm not. I don't know who's who. I don't know if I want to be Peyton. He's got a 5 head, but all right.
You know what the defense did this week?
Stepped up.
No, they answered the bell. And you know what happens if they do that next week in Philadelphia? What that would be?
Answer the Liberty Bell.
Answer the Liberty Bell, baby.
Nice.
You got it.
All right.
That's right.
Oof. Feels so good. Mike, I got to tell you, I was so pumped today that we got another set of twins. But then I got really sad because it just made me realize how old I am, where there's a time where having a set of twins and being excited about it had nothing to do with secondary players.
Yeah.
We're just old.
Okay. You know, I've been having fun at the watch parties at Brass Tap throughout this season, but I feel like since we're playing the Owls this week, I think all watch parties should be held at Hooters.
Interesting. Isn't that pro? Is that pro owl if you go to Hooters, or is that anti owl?
I don't know. I excuse to go to Hooters to watch the game. Nothing against the ladies at the Brass Tap; they're okay, but I think Hooters may be a step up.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Mike, it was finally great to see true freshman Charlie Browder get in for one play this season. He almost made a catch. I think the defender made a great play on the ball when he landed on the ground, which is fitting because apparently this Sunday, if you watched any football on TV, you knew that Sunday was National Tight Ends Day, which I guess I just made up. And I can't get a Halloween off, by the way, but we can have a National Tight Ends Day. We'll get back to that later. But, Mike, you know what that did? That's top 5 UCF tight ends time. Are you ready for these? These are the top 5 tight ends in UCF history. All right, here we go. Number 5, Justin Tukes. Justin Tukes, a solid player. The O'Leary era. He was on the show one time. He finished his career with 30 catches, 3 touchdowns. Justin Tukes, number 5.
All right.
Number 4, Michael Calumiali. He was there like 9 years, Mike. 33 catches, 4 touchdowns. Played for 3 different staffs. So you got to give this guy a little bit of credit. He had to learn 3 different offenses, from O'Leary's to Frost over to Heupel. Was a staple. Always made a couple big plays. His play against I think it was Memphis in 2017 on the road. He made a nice catch against Memphis. I had no idea who the hell he was. And I think there was a Calumiali for Heisman Twitter account started. Michael Calumiali, the number 4th all-time UCF tight end.
Coops.
Number 3. We're doing that. Okay. Number 3, Adam Nisley. Adam Nisley, Mike, 38 catches, 465 yards, 5 touchdowns in his career. He was a tight end during the George O'Leary days. Obviously, George was one to not open the playbook really, really wide, so the tight end played a really big role. Nisley was a big, giant guy, also a former guest on the Suns UCF show. Seemed like a really nice guy. He maybe was one of those guys who helped to formulate the George O'Leary style tight end. Adam Nisley, my number 3 tight end.
He's a big dude, that guy. He was like 6'7", 6'6" at least.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Number 2, Darcy Johnson. 81 catches, 919 yards, 6 touchdowns in his career. Played into the Mike Kruzek system. Went on to have a pretty good NFL career. Mike played for your Giants for a long time. Despite the fact that he will not come on our show and he's angry at us, I still give him the number 2 spot as second most best all-time UCF tight end.
Well, should we tell everybody? I mean, we had him booked to come on the show, and then did we bump him? Was it like O'Leary to come on?
Yeah, so we okay. Well, we'll tell a story then. So we had arranged with Darcy. I'd been in touch with his people. He has people, and they said we said, hey, we'd love to have him on. We gave him the date, we gave him the time, we gave him everything, and we didn't hear back. So you and I were scrambling, and we were like, okay, we don't know if we have Darcy. He hasn't confirmed with us. We're not sure what we're gonna do. On a whim, we reached out to GOL, and he was like, yeah, sure, I'll come on. I'll do it. And we were like, holy crap. Like, this was the second George O'Leary appearance, I believe. And so we were flabbergasted that coach was coming on. We were excited. We were waiting for him to call us. We had everything prepared. And my phone rings about a minute before we're expecting a George O'Leary. It's a 407 number. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. This is not the same number I have for George, but maybe he's ghosting. I pick it up. It's Darcy Johnson. And he's like, I'm here for the interview. And I was like, oh, about that. Any chance that we could maybe call you back? Any chance we could talk later? And I don't think he liked potentially being bumped. I tried to explain that we weren't sure that he had confirmed, and he sent a note back and politely declined to ever appear on the show again. So
we pissed him off.
We did. He was nice about it, but he is never coming on the show, Mike, which is probably why he's not our number 1 tight end. And that distinction for me goes to Jordan Akins. Now, this is a bit of a trick one because he played his first 2 years as a wide receiver, technically speaking, but he only had 26 catches and 2 touchdowns in that role. He finished his UCF career 81 catches, 1,049 yards, and 8 touchdowns. The best statistical tight end we have, Mike. Obviously played in that Frost era, was a big part of the passing game, obviously still with the Houston Texans in the NFL, Mike. My number 1 UCF tight end of all time is Jordan Akins.
Solid list. Very solid list. Akins was very good. I think the first play ever, he returned a kick in the Ireland game.
Yeah.
Right. Opening kickoff, and he returned it pretty far.
Yep.
And got caught, and we ended up probably not scoring. I don't remember.
Yep.
But very solid career. All right. It's a decent list.
Just missing. Michael Gaines just missed. Jordan Franks just missed. And Willie Gaetjens, just because I want to say his name. Top 5 UCF.
We're gonna have to get some of these historians like Kevin Reese.
Well, I once was told someplace that you know more about UCF history than anybody. So if you agree with this list, then I think we're good.
Yeah, my knowledge of the tight ends of the '80s is not solid.
All right. All right.
If Kevin Reese approves, then I think we're on something.
Okay.
All right, we won a game this week.
Mm-hmm.
We win one on Saturday. That's 2 in a row.
Yep, that's 2.
We win one the next week. That's called a winning streak.
Yep.
It has happened before.
Yeah, it sure has.
So let's pick things up a little bit around here, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you say?
You got to feel good, Mike. You feel like if we can get some of these guys back from injury, maybe we're peaking at the right time. I mean, maybe obviously it's going to be a tough hill to climb. We're currently 5th in the American Conference standings. Houston has got to lose a bunch of games. Obviously, SMU and Cincy have to beat each other up. We can't lose. So a bunch of things have to fall in our favor. But maybe, just maybe, we're peaking at the right time and we can salvage this thing out and have a, Gus kept calling it, 2 different seasons, season 1, season 2. Maybe we can have a really good season 2 here and see where that gets us in the final tally of things.
All right. I still hold out hope until we're officially eliminated. It's like, I guess, from being a baseball fan my whole life, the magic number, elimination number, now they call it. I'm always finding a way to somehow get in. We really needed that East Carolina game hurt, man. They came back and tied the game against Houston in the 4th quarter. If they would have won that game, we would have been in a pretty decent spot. Houston would play SMU this week. One of them has to lose. Houston would have got their second loss. But now we need Houston to lose at least 2. And SMU, if you figure SMU loses to Cincinnati and us, we'd have the tiebreaker on them.
Mm-hmm.
Houston has to lose to SMU this week, and I don't know how they're going to lose to one of the other games because it's the Cows, I think it's Temple, Memphis, and maybe Tulane, some other bad team they got left. So they got a pretty easy schedule. It's not looking good, but I always hold out hope. You never know. Could come down to the end. I don't know what the tiebreakers would be if it was a 3-way or a 4-way tie with 2 lost teams. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm all out of observation, so
I'll carry you. Here. Mike, obviously 63 yards passing for Mikey Keene. I looked this up at last year's UCF and Memphis game. It took Dylan Gabriel 6 completions to throw for 64 yards. If you recall, that's the game where he threw for 601 yards. So we went from 601 yards passing against Memphis to 63. Life comes at you fast, my friend.
10% we did against them last year.
Yeah. Serious question for you. Would you ever allow a cow to be on your fantasy football team?
Well, I haven't played fantasy football team in a while. A lot of it had to do with this because I used to have guys like on the Eagles and the Cowboys. I hated rooting for them. I think the one time I actually won the whole thing, one of my best players was T.O. I forget if he was with the Eagles or with the Cowboys that time. But yeah, I hated that. So I don't like rooting for guys that are guys I don't like. I don't like it when there's a cow on the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
When JPP was on the Giants, and even though he was as good as he was, I had to forgive him for being a cow. I looked past it. But I would try to avoid having a cow on my fantasy team.
Well, here's what happened to me. So my friend from work, he actually joined us in the show. He was Wally Walker. That's not his real name. He and I are playing each other this week in fantasy. He, at the last minute this week, he picked up Dernish Johnson, who obviously was a running back for the Cows. Started him because he had some running back issues. The guy actually had a decent game. He scored a touchdown. I got him like 20-something points. And he's ultimately going to beat me in fantasy this week because he went out and picked this guy up and played him, even though he went to UCF. But he willingly played a cow so he could beat me this week in fantasy football. I've never been more disgusted.
Yeah, I mean, he did what he had to do to win.
Disgusted.
He outsmarted you.
Outsmarted me. You don't outsmart with a cow, Mike. Those two things don't go together. Come on, Jesus.
I couldn't do it. But that's why I never won a fantasy football.
And really my last observation, Mike, it just feels like we're at a sad moment where it's looking possible that Mackenzie Milton's college career is maybe coming to an end. He has not played in a couple of weeks, even though I presume he's been somewhat healthy. Jordan Travis has gotten those snaps. And then this week, Florida State actually wins again. They're up 45-3 at UMass, and it's Chubba Purdy time, not Mackenzie Milton time. So sad to report, perhaps we've seen the last of Mackenzie Milton's college football career.
Yeah, when you're up like that, though, do you even want to come to that game? Isn't that what kind of happened with Udonis Haslem the other night? When you're up that big, is it kind of an insult to bring in a veteran guy like Mackenzie? Maybe. And maybe give the freshman some run there. Might as well let him get his feet wet a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. He hasn't played in a while. I just wonder if we're going to get to see Mackenzie out there one more time.
The true question would be, if something happens to Jordan Travis, do they go back to Mackenzie Milton in a close game, or do they skip over him to Purdy? Then you could say that it may be done for.
That's a good point, Mike. But all that means we have closed up shop. Those are your UCF observations. That is that's a bow, a wrap, if you will, on the UCF and Memphis fiasco. That was 24/7 UCF. But we turn our sights to this Saturday, Mike. Temple, UCF traveling on the road where things have not been kind. 0-3 on the road this year. We're going up to Temple to play a team that's been a little bit up and down. They were playing better for a while, and then somehow they made the Cows look like the '85 Bears. I don't know how that's possible. But all of a sudden, Temple in a bit of a reel, 3-4 on the season, Mike. 12 noon kickoff, heading up to play the Owls up there. What do you want to see? What concerns you? Where are you at with this Temple game?
Well, we got to see the defense now stay consistent and continue to play like they did this past week and like they did against East Carolina. Get pressure on the quarterback, cause some turnovers. Offense, keep the running game going. It's got to improve on the passing. Hopefully we get a little healthier with Jalen Robinson coming back this week. That may help things out. But overall, I feel good about the game. What was it, a noon game in 2013? I feel like it was an early afternoon game where we struggled against them and had to have the J.J. Wharton catch to save us.
Yep.
That Temple was not a good team that year either. So there's no gimmies here. Like you mentioned, they've been playing. They played better than we thought they would coming into the season. Definitely better than they did last year. Last year we really handled them, but they came in shorthanded. I believe in that game with only like 44 players coming into the game.
Yep.
So I think we'll be in for a little bit more of a fight this year, but I think we should still take care of business.
Again, Temple 3-4. They're coming off of a game where they gave up 421 yards rushing to the Cows. Before that, they gave up 279 yards rushing to Cincinnati. Before that, 155 yards rushing to Memphis, and they actually won that Memphis game, believe it or not. So it appears that the rushing attack should have the ability to have a nice day if Gus can scheme that up. Like the last 3 weeks alone, their defense has given up 526 yards to the Cows, 542 to Cincinnati, 460 to Memphis. So there should be some offense to be had if UCF can put together a good game plan. In 3-4, their 3 wins are Akron, Wagner, and Memphis. Losses to Rutgers, BC, Cincy, and the Cows. They don't really have one guy that stands out. Their quarterback is DeJuan Mathis. He's a transfer guy. Most of the quarterbacks these days are. Running backs, Mike, their top running back has 218 yards. Just for context, Bowser, who hasn't played in a handful of games, is already almost over 500 yards. So they don't run the ball really well. Doesn't look like they have a stud receiver. Jaden Blue, I swear, has been there since like 1995. He's still there as a receiver. So you don't really know what they're going to do, Mike. But I can assure you right now, I know why UCF's going to win. UCF will win this game, and I can tell you why. Do you want to know why?
Go ahead.
This year, UCF 4-0 when we play on natural grass, 0-3 when we play on artificial turf. Mike, what surface is on the ground there at Lincoln Financial Field?
Well, you just told me it was natural grass.
That's natural grass, my friend.
It's not home and away. That's the trick. It's the grass versus artificial turf.
Well, I mean, it just so happens to be that our 3 away games have been on artificial turf. This is our first away game on grass where we're 4-0, Mike. So I feel like that's the stat that tells you UCF's going to come out with a win. It's all about the grass, baby.
Okay. I'll take it. So, any way we come away with a win is fine with me. At this point, a win is a win. I don't care if it's ugly or pretty. Just go in there and get the W and come back home safe and healthy.
Yeah, I mean, they 34-14, they just lost to the Cows, Mike. And people are going to look at that and be like, oh, if they lost to the Cows, they got to be terrible. They got to be pitiful. Obviously, they got boat raced by Cincinnati, but so did we, so we can't talk there. They had a squeaker against Memphis. So it's hard to kind of tell what team you're going to get here. But obviously, you can see the game plan path here. Obviously, the rushing attack appears to be the way to make this work. Maybe that means a healthy dose of the Joey Gatewood experience again, and some rushing plays for the quarterback. This could be a healthy dose of Isaiah Bowser. Maybe you see more Johnny Richardson. Maybe you see more Mark Anthony Richards. Curious to see how Gus game plans this thing up, Mike. But obviously, Temple 3-4, UCF coming at 4-3. This would be a nice win, to your point, to begin maybe trying to stack some wins here as you try to wind down the season.
Yeah, like I said, there's a winning streak here to be had. If we win this one, we should win the Tulane game at home also. That puts 3 in a row going into that SMU game, where if we could win that one, then you're talking about winning out the rest of the way with UConn and Green UConn to end the year. So this is a big game. We need to get that first road win under our belt this is by far the easiest road game. If you want to look at it that way, compared to Louisville. I guess Navy you would have thought too. But and then Cincinnati, this one, and SMU. Between this and SMU, this has to be considered the easier of the two road games. If we're going to get a road win, this is the week to do it.
Another noon kickoff, this one on ESPN Plus with Mike, your good buddy, Leger Duzable is apparently on the call. So a friendly UCF voice in the booth. It's always weird. For some reason, I never like when we play at Temple. The stadium's weird. It's obviously an NFL stadium. It's always like a weird vibe when we play at Temple. UCF social media did a fantastic troll job, though, of calling it a business trip to Philadelphia, which, if you recall, was the funny line that was given when Josh Heupel met the Nebraska brass while we were playing up there in 2017. So UCF with a little bit of shade back at Scott Frost. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, business meeting, I think they said.
Business meeting, sorry, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And everybody knew exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't mean that Malzahn's meeting with anybody in any hotel rooms prior to this game.
Let's hope he's not meeting with anybody in any hotel rooms at all, Mike. All right, well, so let's see what we got. We'll talk more about this game on Thursday on our live show, which, again, brings in Trey Strelko. I'm sure we have a Temple insider lined up or somebody who can give us some more insight on what to expect from this Temple team. Again, on paper, doesn't look like they do anything really spectacular, but also doesn't look like they do anything too terrible, except for maybe that rush defense. So we'll see where UCF can find a way to exploit. Coming up next, we'll exploit Mike's picks. I don't know how they were this week. I suspect they weren't great, but maybe he surprises me. Who knows? We'll come back and we'll tell you all about that right here on the Sons of UCF.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajer, and in my spare time, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on!
All right, I keep telling you people, if they play him, Mike's going to pick him. Mike's picks, again, exclusive here to the Sons of UCF. Mike will reveal to you 3 games that are loosely, somewhat, kind of, sort of connected to UCF. And he will tell you who's going to win those games. He will give you his picks. He'll also update you on our season-long tournament. It's in the pool tracker, Mike, where the winner gets a hat and a Citronaut hoodie. So a lot to do right here, right now. How are things looking in the pool tracker? I snuck a peek. I think we have a new name. We have some guys who vaulted very, very, very high to the top there, Mike. What's going on with the season-long pool tracker tournament?
That's right. Nightwalker was in the lead for the last few weeks now. Has been taken over by SJB43, new leader in the clubhouse. I pulled ahead by a couple points here. He's up 2 on the next guy. Good job out of him or her. I don't know who it is. The pool tracker overall for me last week, I went 2-4. Another terrible week of picks for me. I am at 29-39, 10 games under 500 for me on the season. Even Trace pulled ahead of me by 2 games. He's 31-37.
Even Trace. Okay.
You are at 35-33, comfortable lead on me. For the season on the show here, last week I went 2-1 on my show picks. And I screwed up because I won SMU and Tulane. I won East Carolina, Houston. And I picked East Carolina here on the show, but I picked Houston on the poll tracker. I forgot who I had picked on the show. I should have stuck with East Carolina, and I would have, because usually I pick whatever I say on the show. I do it in the poll tracker. I just got it wrong. So I should have been, I guess, 3-3 over there instead of 2-4. The game I lost was Cincinnati and Navy. I thought Cincinnati would blow out Navy, and Navy kept it close. Had a chance there at the end. I heard they got an onside kick, right, and was driving to maybe tie the game and threw an interception. So 2-1 on the show, 9-14-1 on the season for the show picks. Doing terrible in the pool tracker, but here we go. I got 3 picks here. Turning things around. I had a winning week last week, so let's see if I can keep that going. You ready?
Look, I've never been more ready. I'm fired up for you.
All right. Game number 1, Cincinnati minus 24.5 at Tulane. The Bearcats survived versus Navy last week. Did not cover the spread. And that was the first time all year that they did not cover the spread. And Tulane hasn't covered the spread since week 1. against Oklahoma. Their defense has been a disaster all year. They give up 55 points to SMU. They give up 40 to Houston, 52 to East Carolina, 28 to UAB, and 61 to Ole Miss. We all thought Tulane was going to be a lot better than this at the beginning of the year. They have not looked good. And you know what comes out this week? The first college football playoff ranking show on Tuesday. Cincinnati needs to come in and really start building up some style points. I know they're number 2 in the AP and 2 in the coaches poll right now. That means nothing to the college football playoff committee. Don't be surprised if they're at number 5 or 6 when those guys come out with their rankings. Or even if they put them at 4, they'd still get jumped by an undefeated Michigan or a one-loss Alabama. So they're no shoo-in. They need to start racking up some style points. This is a week to do it. They're giving up 24.5. I know it sounds like a lot, but they beat us up by more than that. They beat up Temple by more than that. A bunch of teams they beat up by more than that. So I'll take Cincinnati. I'll give up 24.5, and I say they win this one easily over Tulane.
Sorry, did you say this is a home or a road game?
No, it's at Tulane in New Orleans.
Okay. Well, so I know you've been on the Navy's terrible football team bandwagon, and the record would indicate that you are accurate. But they're a weird team to play, and they play teams hard. But good teams figure out a way to pull that. Obviously, we couldn't figure it out. You saw Cincy do that towards the end. Just had too much for them. But I think similar to what happened after we played Navy, we get back, we play an ECU team. You have a more traditional style, maybe a little easier to play. So I think whatever happens in Cincinnati, they're going to be a little bit pissed off. I think they're obviously, to your point, they want to try to set a message for committee members. It's maybe a little easier to play a traditional style offense. Tulane has not looked good this year. I don't know what happened there. Michael Pratt, I thought, was going to be a pretty good player, and things have fallen apart for him. So I'm inclined to agree with you. Throw away that 24 points. I think Cincinnati can probably put this one away and dominate this one pretty early. Now, this is what Cincinnati's going to have to face, though, Mike, is what we ended up facing towards the end of our 2017 season, which is you are everybody's Super Bowl. You are everybody's best chance to do something memorable for your season. You know, now when they're the number 2 ranked team in the nation, everyone's now going to come in there and try to take their best shots at you. So maybe Tulane figures something out. Maybe they come out jacked up. But I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I guess I'll throw away those 24.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati is going to get scared at least 1 or 2 more times before the season's over. It's going to have to be a close game. They're going to have to get lucky somewhere down the line. Maybe even they slip up and they lose a game. But I just don't think this is the week. So I'll take Cincinnati and give up the points too. Game number 2 is SMU at Houston. This is a pick'em game. I saw the line changed a little bit, and now it's just pick whoever you think's going to win. There's no line. So since losing to Texas Tech, the Cougars have been rolling. They lost to them in week 1. They've won 6 games in a row now. 4 of those games scoring over 40 points or more. They blew a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter to East Carolina, but still pulled it off in overtime. Meanwhile, SMU, the Mustangs, number 19 in the AP poll right now. They've got a tough 4-game stretch. They've had a bit of a soft schedule so far. The next 4 games, 3 of them are on the road. At Houston, at Memphis, and at Cincinnati. Their one home game is against UCF. I think maybe this is the point in the season where SMU maybe starts faltering. But I still have them beating Houston. These two teams did not play at all last year against each other. But SMU has won the last 2 meetings, and they've won 3 of the last 4. Maybe this is just me rooting for SMU because that's what we need to help us, which probably gets me in trouble. Maybe I should go with Houston on this. Houston can basically clinch a spot in the championship game if they win this week. They have no other tough games. And if they beat SMU, they could still get in with a loss somewhere down the road. So this is a huge game for both teams. I'll still take SMU. It's a pick'em game on the road. Give me SMU.
Yeah, I'm leaning SMU as well. We haven't seen Houston really put together a big win yet in the Dana Holgerson era. They seem like, to your point, they always have a really good, start, and they have a couple falters, and the thing kind of falls apart. So I haven't really seen them put that together. SMU is really good on offense. The only thing that's happening these days, though, it's interesting now. Texas Tech, you mentioned earlier, they fired their head coach today. the head coach of SMU, Sonny Dykes, is a long-time assistant there before, so the rumors are swirling already that perhaps he will go to Texas Tech. Does that become a bit of a distraction for the team either now or down the road as those rumors kind of heat up? But I just don't have any trust in that Houston team for some reason. I have no idea why. Holgerson just seems like a bit of a wild card to me, so I think I'm inclined to agree with you to take SMU on this one.
And the 12th man, the referees, are going to be on SMU's side. They're going to get every call because you really think the American Conference wants to see Cincinnati and Houston, two teams that are leaving the conference in the championship game? So I got to believe that the fix is in. Give me the Mustangs.
Nice. The fix is in. Mike's calling it now.
Game number 3. We've already discussed a little bit about it. UCF minus 10.5 at Temple. Temple has 3 wins on the year. You named them. The Akron Zips, the Wagner Seahawks, and the mighty Memphis Tigers, who we just beat up this week. Nothing too impressive there in that list of wins, although they have played better. The Cows are still running on these guys. 421 yards on Saturday. Isaiah Bowser must be licking his chops coming into this game and see what kind of damage he can do. Gatewood, is he going to have a bigger selection of plays this week? Is he going to have more snaps? I don't see why not. If we're just going to run the ball on these guys, might as well. The Knights have won the last 4 meetings in this series, 6-2 overall against the Owls. The last 2 trips into Philadelphia, we've blown these guys out. 63-21 2 years ago, and in 2017, the business meeting game, as you want to say, with Scott Frost having that secret meeting, 45-19, we won that one. The Knights defense, can we put 2 games back-to-back together now? We had the big game this past week against Memphis. Can we do it again in Philadelphia this week? I already mentioned that one time it was close in Philadelphia. It was the 2013 game against a team that really had no business playing against us that year, but it seemed like we made every game close that year anyway. And that was a J.J. Wharton miracle catch. We needed to beat them. But I believe that the Owls are who we think they are. I don't think they're that good. 10.5 points. Give me the Knights to cover. Let's win another big one. I don't know if we're going to break 30, 35 points, but if the defense can do what they should do, maybe another 28-10 type game. Give me the Knights to cover.
You said 10.5, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm going to go Temple on this one. We haven't put it together on the road yet. Temple just got flat out embarrassed by the Cows. I got to think they're going to come back with a little bit of pride at home. I don't think they're going to win the game, but if you told me it was 31-21, I would agree with that. I would think that might be a score, which obviously is not the 10.5. So I'm gonna take Temple. I think until we can prove we can do it on the road, until we can prove we can put it together, because a score like your 30 or whatever you said, 30 31-10 or whatever you said, that's going to require the defense to make a stop, get a special play, get a pick, get something, get a fumble recovery on special teams. We have not had a good track record, at least on the road this year, of making plays like that happen. The defense obviously has struggled mightily on the road. While we certainly always feel good about the way they play at home, then we go on the road and we suck again. So I think we can win this game just on the talent alone. But if this thing turned out to be a 31-21, a 20-10, a 23-13 type of a win, I wouldn't be surprised. So give me Temple. I don't think we do 10.5.
All right. Yeah, maybe me just betting with my heart again, which is probably what's killed me throughout this whole season making these picks.
Yeah.
So maybe Temple is the play, but I'm not going to change it now. Sticking with UCF.
You do it, buddy.
Things got to change around for me. So
yeah, no, I hope I'm wrong. And again, I want to be clear. I think we win, but I think it's a close slobber knocker kind of a thing where we can pull it out, but you're gonna Temple's gonna. We'll see if they can come out with some pride, right? Because they just got punched in the mouth. So can they come out with a little bit of pride at home? And can we sustain some of the things? That's the thing. We haven't taken one game success and moved it over to the next game, right? We played all right against Boise, then we blew out Bethune like we should have, and then we came in and Louisville just punched us in the face, and we're like, okay, it's cool, we're gonna figure this out. Bye week, let's get back to Navy. Then they hit us in the mouth, right? Then we come back to ECU and we think we're gonna carry it over. Defense plays well, and we can't score on offense, so we're gonna essentially get blown out. So we haven't really put them back to back like that. So I'm just gonna go off the trend here and say we played favorable, and this week we'll play less than favorable, but hopefully that results in a win, Mike. But I guess tune in next week and you'll find out if any of that actually worked out or who was actually correct in all this.
Yeah. So, I mean, if things go the way they've been going all year, it's going to be a very close game on Saturday afternoon, going by my picks. So, hopefully I nailed this one, but confidence is not too high in it, but I'm still sticking with it.
All right, well let's do if we get this wrong, one of us should be in this segment next. It's the cow of the week, Mike. We'll release the latest cows, Mike. Everyone's favorite time of the year. Coming up next. Don't go. Sons of UCF.
Okay, sons of UCF, both of you, you are the father.
This is the best part of the show, even made better by the fact that as I hit the record button, I asked Mike if he had a cow, and he said, I do have a cow, which sometimes he often is looking around still as we record late, which means he has got something really good, in my opinion, to be his cow of the week this week. I know I can't wait, so I'm going to shut up, and Mike, you tell us. Who's the cow of the week?
Yeah, sometimes the cows are just obvious. And this, to me, was an obvious cow. Actually, I believe it, happened in cow territory.
Yes, I think I know where you're going here. Yeah.
Tom Brady throws his 600th touchdown pass, and which hardly ever happens. The ball goes into the stands. Mike Evans hands it to a fan. This is a lottery ticket straight in your hand. You didn't expect this coming. And the guy, his name is Byron Kennedy, gives the ball back for basically nothing. You had experts come on in the last day saying this ball was worth anywhere between $500,000 and $750,000. And this guy, just trying to be a nice guy, gives it back to Tom Brady for a couple signed jerseys and a helmet, $1,000 of bucks. I mean, what's he going to get from the souvenir store? Probably a couple more jerseys, right? So the guy, you figure, and they gave him season tickets. They threw that in too. Today, I think they added it. Mm-hmm. But you figure all the stuff they gave this guy, if you want to be generous, comes out to what? $20,000, depending on where the season tickets are. Even if you say $30,000, whatever, that's a decent thing. But you're still shortchanging himself $450,000 at least.
Yes.
This guy he's either an idiot or he's definitely a cow. There's no way I could look my family in the face coming home and say, hey, I just handed back $500,000. You know, there's no way. We could have paid the house off. I could have done so many things with that. You know how many Bitcoins you could have bought for that money and turned that into something else? I don't know, man. What is this guy thinking? He says all he wants is to get Tom Brady to play a round of golf with him. Yeah. Tom Brady's never playing a round of golf with you, buddy. In fact, he'd probably be happier to pay you $500,000 just to not play golf with you and waste his Sunday an afternoon hanging out with you. This is the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time. I've seen it done before. The guy that caught Derek Jeter's 3,000th ball was a home run ball. He gave that back for basically nothing too. I don't understand these people. You're given a lottery ticket. You're going to one of these games. You could have made so much money off of it, and you do nothing. You give it back. Idiot. This is not just cow. This is just an idiot.
So quick update. Tom Brady was on the Manning cast while you and I were recording. I don't know if you caught it or saw any of it. So he's getting, like you said, signed jerseys by him, Mike Evans, cleats, season tickets for the rest of this year and even next year. Action Network estimates that package is worth $36,000. But then after that, Tom Brady went on social media and asked one of his sponsors, which is FTX Official, to give this guy a Bitcoin. So Tom is trying to give this guy a Bitcoin. As of 8:30 tonight, one Bitcoin was averaged value at $63,000. So this package essentially is now getting a little, if that's true, if Tom's actually going to do that, by the way, and that money holds, it's probably going to get this package closer to $100,000, all said and done with all that is there. But Brady told the Mannings on the show tonight, quote, that this guy lost all of his leverage when he gave me the ball back. And that's the thing he probably did the worst, is he actually handed the ball back to the guy and said, here, take it, as opposed to being like, no, I'm going to hold on to this. Y'all come back to me with your offer, right? He gave it back to them at that point where he lost all his leverage. Even Brady acknowledges that. So maybe he gets a Bitcoin out of the deal, Mike, but certainly 100 is not 500.
Yeah, exactly. He could have bought his own Bitcoins. He could have bought 10 of them if he wanted. He's basically lost out on at least $400,000. Yeah. You know what my wife would do to me if I told her I just cost us $400,000?
Mm-hmm.
You know what she would do.
Yeah, I know.
You heard what she was about to do to the Publix delivery.
I still don't know what happened there. I was still confused about that. But yes, it didn't sound like things were going well.
This guy, the package he gave you, you got ripped off. And you could have made so much more money off of it, probably even more than $500,000. You're talking about $750,000 possibly.
Oh yeah, if you sit on that thing until like Hall of Fame induction day or something, or right around that time, or if Brady wins the Super Bowl, man, you sit on that thing and sell high. Yeah, you got a nice piece going there.
Nobody's thrown 600 touchdowns before. This is the record, right? Yeah, every touchdown he throws is a new record. So he's the first one to ever do that. That's his NFL history right there. He could have made some big time money.
Yeah, that's definitely cow of the week stuff right there. It certainly was and Mike Evans deserves a little bit of cow of the week here too, right? Because I mean, if he had given that ball away and it cost Brady like $500,000, at some point I'd have been like, "Hey Evans, you pitching in on this? Like, you're the idiot who gave the ball away. Like, Mike Evans, what are you doing there?"
Yeah, Brady. I mean, $500,000 to Brady. That's a weekend in Cabo. He wipes his ass with that. So it's fair. Not that big of a deal, but yeah. He would have made Evans pitch in a little bit, probably. I
assume so. Well, that's a good cow of the week. So it's tough to top that, Mike. I have two options for you. One football-related, one non-football-related. So the first football-related one is this, Mike. I don't know if you were aware. I don't know if maybe you were taking a nap. If not, you probably would have during the game. Illinois and Penn State played this weekend. Did you happen to catch any of that, Mike?
No, but I saw the score and I saw exactly what happened.
At the end of the fourth quarter, it's 10-10, so we go to overtime. In the, I guess the first overtime, both teams hit a field goal. At the end of the second overtime, both teams hit a field goal. And that's when the new rule kicks in. Like, I had absolutely forgotten that this thing was a rule all of a sudden. In the third overtime now in college football, basically everybody just runs a 2-point play. So it's basically only worth 2. And so after the second overtime, they proceed to go through till all the way from there to overtime number 9, where finally Illinois punches one in and they win the game 20-18. And that's how these things end all of a sudden. Like a 2018 game, 9 overtimes. We're going for 2 every time. What are we doing here? Like, is that the best way to do overtime?
No.
Is that the worst way to do overtime?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess of all the options we've seen so far, maybe it is.
It might be, right?
Before, you used to have to, after the third one, you would have to go for 2, but you would actually have to score the touchdown.
Yeah, you got 4 downs. Yeah, you got 4 downs, right. And if you scored a touchdown, then you had to go for 2. The argument being here that now they're playing less plays because as opposed to playing downs, they're just playing basically one 2-point conversion play. So they're trying to save injuries and wear and tear on the body and all that good stuff.
Yeah, they're turning it into the soccer shootout. I don't really care for it. Yeah, I have an opinion that most people don't agree with. I like the original old school NFL overtime, sudden death. You got to all phases of the game count. Kickoffs, defense, offense. If the offense goes down the field and scores on you, then you should have had a better defense. Or you should have done better on the kickoff. I like sudden death better than this, or even the other way that college football used to do overtime.
Yeah, I'm warming up to the NFL thing. At first, initially, I was sort of in the same boat of you of like, hey, if I get the ball and I can throw one pass play for 30 yards and kick a field goal, like then I did what I'm supposed to do. Why am I penalized for that? But I guess it does add a little bit of element to saying, okay, like you have to punch it in. And it's not just a coin flip game at that point, but I could go either way. I didn't have an issue with the way the college did overtime prior to that. We basically 4 plays from the 25. I didn't have any issue with that, but I mean, I guess obviously games could go longer, people get injured, but just how Illinois and Penn State is it for a game to end 20-18 after 9 overtimes? It just feels like that's how that game was always destined to end, Mike. So that's one cow of the week story. Another cow of the week story that I found in my perusal this weekend. There's a woman who was suing Kellogg's, the maker of Pop-Tarts. Mike, are you familiar with the Pop-Tart?
Of course.
Love Pop-Tarts. What's your favorite flavor?
I mean, I haven't had a Pop-Tart like 20 years now. But I forget what were the ones we always got? Was it cherry or something? I don't remember.
There's chocolate, brown sugar, strawberry.
probably the strawberry. I think it's the one I used to always get.
All right, well, then this story is right up your alley, Mike. There is a woman who was suing Kellogg's, the maker of the Pop-Tart, for $5 million because she says the Pop-Tarts don't have any or enough strawberries in them. The strawberry Pop-Tart does not contain enough strawberries. Allegedly, it is comprised of mostly other fruits like pears and apples, and there is not enough strawberries in this, Mike. So she is suing Kellogg's because her strawberry Pop-Tart doesn't have enough strawberry.
For $5 million, huh? $5
million. It looks like it may be a class action. So if you want in on this, you might be an aggrieved party here.
I get what, 35 cents?
If you want to get in on this big lucrative Pop-Tart fiasco, you might be able to net yourself a couple of shekels there. I don't know.
Oh man, I don't know, but I know your biggest pet peeve is somebody that only eats one Pop-Tart.
Why would you? They come in a package of two. You literally open up that little like fake, cellophane wrapper situation, and what's inside, Mike? Two of them. You do what you do. You eat them both. That's why they're there. If they wanted you to eat one, it'd be individually wrapped. There's two of them in there. Eat them both. I don't understand.
Yeah, why don't they individually wrap them?
Because you are supposed to eat the two of them. That's why. That's why they do that. Eat them both. I don't understand. I also don't know. I know again. I haven't had a Pop-Tart. I think my kids have some in the pantry at my house here. Are you toaster for the Pop-Tart? Or are you just straight out of the package eating the thing?
No, I like to heat them up.
Okay, yeah, you got to heat those up. Yeah. There's some people, though, that go straight out of the package. And I was blown away. I have a colleague of mine at work who, pro Pop-Tart, we have like a little cafe situation, and they have some like grab-and-go type options, and they have Pop-Tarts there. And one day he grabs the Pop-Tarts, and you know what he did with them, Mike?
No.
He put them in the freezer.
And then he ate them frozen?
He ate them like cold, not like solid frozen. He put them in there for like 30 minutes, and they were cold. And it was the chocolate, I believe. And he ate it frozen, and he was like, it's delicious. It's like you're basically eating like an ice cream treat. Blew my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, blew my mind.
I like ice cream.
Yeah, blew my mind. But don't have the strawberry, apparently, because it only has less than 2% of strawberry. And this suit claims that the other fruits do not provide the same nutritional benefits as strawberry. So just so you have this correct, this lady was buying the strawberry Pop-Tart for the nutritional value.
Yeah, that's where maybe her case falls apart on her.
Yeah. I just don't like the amount of like energy it takes to like dream up a lawsuit like this. Like it's just there should be some like sort of punitive, like if you file like just a dumbass lawsuit like this, there should be repercussions. I need repercussions, Mike.
Yeah. You can be a dumbass. At least she's a dumbass in the opposite direction. She's trying to get as much money as possible, not like this other dumbass, Byron Kennedy, that gave away basically $500,000 just to be a nice guy to give Tom Brady a ball back.
Well, so the theme of this week's Sons of UCF Cow of the Week is dumbasses, right? One dumbass who lost money, one dumbass who's trying to get some money. Either way, both of them very much fit the credo of what we'd expect of a Cow of the Week candidate here, Mike. But hopefully we can find some great candidates again for next week's show, which we will bring to you all next Monday, Tuesday. And hopefully it's a Knights victory, Mike, because it would be nice to get back on the winning ways, put 2 in a row back on the board for the first time since the opening weeks of the season. And again, continue to make things a little bit interesting as we get down the stretch here. We will obviously cover all of the pre-game stuff this week on Thursday live with me, Mike, and Trace. Don't forget to tune in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Two Nights Media, where you can find us there. And obviously, we'll be back to recap everything with all of our breakdowns the following week, Mike. But we're going into another big one, buddy. You're feeling good. I'm feeling good. Hopefully, things turn out in our favor.
Yeah, I felt good going into a bunch of games. The Louisville game I felt good going into. The Navy game I felt good going into. So that doesn't really mean anything. The only game coming into this in this season so far where I went in thinking we were going to lose was the Cincinnati one, and we were all right on that. But I feel good about this one, and let's see what that means. Probably nothing. Hopefully we're not hanging on by a thread in the last 2 minutes. We need another nice, comfortable win like we had this past week, and keep building on that from here.
That's the plan, my friends. Again, don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to follow us. Everyone who does all that, we appreciate the absolute heck out of you. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you all soon. Go Knights!
Charge on.